A very slow, one would say deliberate, but apparently very effective assault by federal authorities against the Branch Davidian compound has been underway for about 5 hours now near Waco, Texas. Among the CNN correspondents on the scene is Brian Jenkins. Brian, has there been any sign, or do you have any word on the whereabouts of the attorney for David Koresh, Dick DeGuerin, who had been negotiating?
No, we don't. He was in town last week at the end of the Passover observance by the cult. He had indicated after his face-to-face meetings inside the compound with David Koresh before Passover began, we do have somebody outside the compound. You can see them there in the lower right end of your screen. They appear to be pulling a cable. And
that's the flagpole there, Brian.
That is a flagpole, Mike. You can see this picture better than I, Mike.
Yeah, it appears that someone has come out. If we can pan up to see if he's taken the flag down, we can't see. Okay, well, anyhow, that he was. It looked to me like he was doing some kind of work around the flagpole, but now he appears to have gone back inside. Didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
You gentlemen are not able to see if the flag is still there?
It is still up, Bob.
It is still up. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Mike, could you see how that person was dressed? I take it it's somebody from inside the compound, not a federal agent.
It did not appear to be a federal agent to me. It appeared to be somebody that had come outside.
Well, that may indicate that the people inside do not fear being fired upon by the authorities as long as they take no hostile action, and maybe they have retreated to an interior space and are assessing their options at this point. Why somebody would go out there and fiddle with the flagpole, I'm not sure. Bob Kane, you were asking me about Dick DeGuerin, the Houston attorney who is representing David Koresh. He was in town last week at the end of Passover observance to report that David Koresh was not coming out at the end of Passover, as he had earlier indicated to DeGuerin, but that he would begin his translation of the 7 seals in the book of Revelation, that this manuscript would take some time, but that he was working on it day or night. We are about 3 miles away from the compound in what we call Satellite City. This amounts to a ditch along the side of Texas Country Road here that leads toward the Branch Davidian compound. You see one of the satellite trucks there, a number of media vehicles. This place became nearly a ghost town over the weekend. CNN has kept up its staff, but many of the other TV networks had reduced to a skeleton staff. Some of the local stations in Texas had pulled out their people and their trucks, and people came rushing back in this morning. We saw a number of vehicles coming back in, live trucks with their microwave forks on the top setting up again this morning. There are tents posted along the roadway here. I am sitting inside our tent with a view behind me of the compound. We are far enough away that we would probably not be able to smell any remnants of tear gas floating our way. This is the command post where the FBI, here we are, the command post where the FBI and ATF officials have set up. Presumably any continued negotiations would come from this place, but as we heard from Charles Jaco earlier, the FBI essentially hung up on David Koresh when they called out this morning and wanted to talk. This is our shot.
Excuse me, Brian, did you state that the way you meant to, or did Koresh hang up on them?
My earliest understanding was Koresh had hung up on them, and I took it that it was Charles Jaco's report that the FBI said, look, you've had your chance to talk, but I was a little unclear on that. In any event, communications were knocked down, and we aren't certain if they have been restored since that time. This is our shot of the checkpoint barricade just at the edge of Satellite City. This is where media vehicles are stopped. Law enforcement vehicles are allowed to proceed. We did see 3 ambulances going past this checkpoint to the staging area this morning. There are helicopters there. They have been flying about. Here we see the flag flying. Mike Capps, what can you see?
Yes, well, we've lost a picture. Now we're back down on the ground. It looks like in the area of the front door. We were talking a moment ago, you were, Brian and Bob, about telephones and Dick DeGuerin, and a light went off in my mind about that. If you'll remember, Dick DeGuerin had said on 2 occasions that he would be leading Koresh out when this thing ended. He would receive a phone call from Koresh, and that he would be leading Koresh out. Jack Zimmerman, the Houston attorney for Steve Schneider, would be at the end of the procession as everyone marched out. But obviously, since the feds have taken this into their own hands now, apparently that won't be the case. We'll have to wait and see about that. But it's interesting to see how Mr. DeGuerin has operated in the midst of this, and it will be interesting to see how he surfaces as this scene plays itself out. And there's a good picture of the flag flying, and it'll be interesting to find out in the news conference who that person was that came walking out just a few moments ago.
Well,
Mike, we've heard...
Bonnie Anderson, go ahead, Bonnie.
Mike and Brian, this is Bonnie Anderson. A few times over the past weeks, we have seen somebody come out of the front of the compound, and indeed the gaping hole there is where the front door was. And on several occasions, we saw people actually stringing some line that FBI agents had taken to them, and it's gotten it as close as possible. And we had learned in the different press conferences that indeed these were telephone lines being strung once again. The tracked vehicles that have been constantly surrounding the compound and driving back and forth apparently have cut through the telephone lines on a number of occasions, and so this could indeed be one of a similar situation in which communications have been cut off. No doubt the people inside of the compound have at this point been trying to getting in touch with the FBI agents.
That's an excellent point. It's interesting to note here too at the damage that's been done, and Charles Jaco mentioned a few moments ago about how weak the walls in this place really are, but those are powerful vehicles. And in light of, it just appears to me that they could take this place apart quickly if they were of a mind to do it.
Mike, we've heard several reports about the possible use of tear gas here. Charles Jaco indicated federal authorities had told him that they had fired some tear gas into the building and into the compound. There's also been a radio report here that we have not been able to confirm that tear gas was being pumped into air ducts. We have not seen any gas. We certainly have not smelled any gas from our vantage point 3 miles away here. But you had some questions earlier about whether indeed gas has already been used.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to interrupt because we are out of time. We're going to continue rejoining you, of course, and resuming our live coverage of events in Waco shortly.
Back in a minute, and we want to remind you before we do take this quick break that there is an FBI briefing at 11:30 Eastern, and CNN will be bringing that to you live. Back in just a moment.
And we'll pause now for some of our local cable affiliates to take a break. We'll resume our coverage thereafter.